I'm with Jess. So today is going to be a bit of a different show, so to speak. Crime, maybe. Crime to some, crime not to others. I am trying to put together a panel that will be all around. I would like a drag queen. I would like a trans person. I would like a person that sees the world as two genders. I do not want an argument. I want a civil discussion. I have my own thoughts about this. It's not hate. For me, it's reality and it's just realism. So I I've been following the trans movement for a number of years. And in the beginning of it, I was extremely pro trans. I felt like, you know what? Hey, how you doing, shoestring? I felt like in the beginning of this movement that, if you feel like you're born into the wrong body, then so be it. Like, what's that harming me, right? I don't really see the harm in it. But after following this trans movement for, I don't know, I would say 7, 8 years at this point, I see major harm in it. And this is why I would like other people on this panel to speak whatever they have to say. But the harm that I see is towards children. As adults, I really don't give a shit what you do. I don't care what you identify as a dog, a cat, a helicopter, man, female, whatever. I don't care. But when you start pandering to my children or other people's children, yeah, then there's a problem. When we want to give kids that are 10, 11, 12 hormone blockers, things that we're literally giving them, and I say we, but it's not me. It's doctors that are actually people that are in gender studies, etc., etc. They're giving them a drug. I want to pronounce this right. I want to say it's Lithuanian. I don't think that's correct, but it's something along those lines. But this is something that we've used to castrate pedophiles with. That now we're giving this to kids. And so when you start at 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, giving let's just say a male, a biologically male born child. Hi, Allie. And listen, you guys, Al, I would love for you to come up. This is a completely open panel. This is not a hate panel. This is not we're gonna scream and cuss at each other. This is we're gonna have a civil discussion, and that's what that is. And as always on my show, you know that you are entitled to your opinion. You just are. I might disagree. Fine. Who cares? Either way, we're giving this stuff to kids. So let's just say a biologically male child at 11. I'm just picking an age here. The parents, the mother, the father, the mother, whoever believes that, this kid legitimately wants to be a girl. So we're going to give this child hormone blockers. We're going to block the natural male hormones that are coming into this child's body. We're going to block them. And then we're going to give estrogen. We're going to give female hormones. So what happens is the penis of this young child does not grow. It doesn't grow very much. You're blocking it. You're giving the body a bunch of estrogen. It doesn't grow. So, we'll take Jazz Jennings as an example here. Jazz Jennings, I believe, around this age started doing this. His mother did this with him. And then as a minor, I want to say Jazz was 16, 17 years old and had bottom surgery. Bottom surgery meaning they removed his penis. Um, Studies have shown, these are just facts, they're not feelings, that 7 to 10 years after a person receives trans affirming surgery, they are the most suicidal. But what we are being told as a society is, if you don't affirm these people, if you don't tell them, hey, I know that your brain's telling you this, but your body's actually this. If you don't tell them this, if what you say to them is, oh, you think you're a girl? I know you're not a girl. You have testes. You have a penis. I know you're not a girl. But I'm going to tell you that anyway, just to make you feel better. That is not doing them any justice. It's actually hurting them, because 80%, that is a large number, you guys, of kids. And when I say kids, I'm talking about people under the age of 18 that experience any type of gender dysphoria, feeling like, I'm more of a tomboy, or, I'm a boy, but I kind of really like dresses and stuff like that. I like headbands. I like to try on my sister's headbands. Most of those people, 80% of them, by time they hit young adulthood, well, we're talking 18, 19, 20, they grow out of that. They grow out of it. My son, I'm a mother of 6. I have 4 boys. I have 2 girls. My youngest son loved to put on his sister's headbands. He did it often. He would put on her headbands. Mom, am I pretty? And I'd be like, you sure are, cute as a button. And there was nothing else discussed about this. I didn't tell him he was a girl. I didn't, none of that. He just thought his sister wore pretty headbands. Me, myself, as a young girl, I did all the boy things. I climbed trees. I played football. I played basketball. I played baseball. I loved running without shoes on. I loved being one of the boys, quote unquote. But if I had had a woke mother, or woke aunt, I should say, because my aunt is the one that raised me. If I had a woke aunt, she might have said, wow, you like to do all these boy things. Maybe you're a boy. Thank God I did not have that, because when I reached, 18, 19, I fully knew that I was a woman. I like males, and that's just what it was. But hey, Allie. Oh, hi, Cluckers. How are you? Jess, yes, how are you? So I want you guys to do this for me, because I feel like this is such a touchy subject that people are almost afraid to speak on it. I do not want hate, because there are people in this world that absolutely have gender dysphoria. If you don't know what that is, you probably do. But it's where it's an actual feeling that you are not in the right body. Is that a mental illness? Yes. Yes, it is. And I don't understand, and I'm still trying to figure this out, why that is so bad to say. Why is saying gender dysphoria is a mental illness is a bad thing? We talk about depression, we talk about anxiety, we talk about personality disorders, narcissism, the sociopathy, psychopathy. We talk about it all. But for some reason in society, we cannot speak about this. We cannot say, this is a mental illness, because if you do, you automatically become transphobic. Why? I would just like to know why. If anyone feels a different way, again, this is a very open discussion. And I would like to hear from that, because I have a tremendous amount of sympathy for anyone that feels like they were born in a different body. That would suck. I would hate that. But I feel like with social media, this stuff is being spread so much that I'm looking at my own kids. I'm looking at Gen Z specifically. I'm a millennial. But I'm looking at Gen Z specifically because they're so confused. They have been inundated with just, you can be gay, lesbian, bisexual, gender fluid, pansexual, you name it, they can be all of these things. They're confused. I've had my own child come to me 3 different times, and he wanted a reaction, and I knew that he wanted a reaction. And he said to me, "Hey, Mom, what would you say if I told you I was bisexual?" And I said, "Nothing." "Then you are." And then there was nothing. And the only thing I've ever seen my son actually be interested in is actually females. So I know that this kind of stuff is being said around him and to him, and it's circling all around. And so he's looking to me for a reaction. And when I give none, it kind of takes it away. And he's just like, "Oh, okay." So, I guess my biggest issue is not what people want to identify with. I have 2 issues. The changing of the English language. I don't think that there has ever been a smaller group of people that has ever been put on such a pedestal. And people are literally afraid for their jobs, afraid for their own children, afraid for a lot of things to even speak the truth. If a biological male with a beard tells you, "Hey, I'm a woman now," and you don't say that that's okay, you might get fired from your job. You might get ostracized in your own community just for speaking the truth. Cluckers saying, "Personally, I feel this day and age with teenagers, it's cool to be bisexual. I really do think it's kind of interesting. I am in California, so there are a lot of gay trans people here." Cluckers, you're exactly the type of person I want to hear from. Exactly. Especially that you are in California. I think it is very prevalent there. I think that's been shown that it's very prevalent there. So it'd be very interesting to hear from a person like you and your take on it. Jerry is saying, "I do not care how anyone identifies. However, biology matters. You are coming into the ladies' room." Exactly. And Jerry, I'll tell you a little story about the ladies' room and myself. I feel the same that you do. I don't give a shit what you identify as. What I do care about, though, is that when, like, I have PTSD, right? I've talked about this a million times on my stream. All of you guys that are here right now, you guys all know that. I talk about my mental illness. I talk about my anxiety. I talk about my PTSD. There is no shame there. So when you have a person that genuinely feels like they are in a different body, even though they're not, that is a mental illness. And I don't know why it's so wrong to speak about that. Because what I'm continually seeing, again, I followed the trans movement for a very long time. What I continually see is people trying to change the body when the problem lies within the mind. But I'll tell you my own transgender story. I worked at Amazon once upon a time. Aubrey was a baby, so it was about 7 years ago. Do you have that grinder? Can you fill this? If you don't mind. There's something. So when Aubrey was a baby, I went to work at Amazon. Amazon is very inclusive, yada yada. I think I've talked about this before, but I'm gonna talk about it again. I used to, we had to be at work at 6 o'clock in the morning, okay, and all we were doing was warehouse work, nothing mind altering. So I would show up in leggings, a t-shirt, my hair on top of my head, no makeup, no nothing, just ready to get the job knocked out. 12-hour shifts, just ready to get done. And I worked with two transgender women, and I will give props straight off the bat, because one of them would show up every damn day at 6 o'clock in the morning with rhinestone jeans on, hair done, makeup done, earrings on, the whole nine, and I would just look at this bitch like, Jesus Christ, I got to give it to you. I'm not doing that shit, but I'm happy for you that you're doing that shit. But I will tell you that this person would use my bathroom. And when I say my bathroom, I mean the female bathroom. So it always made me just a little weirded out. Why? Even though that this person, had all the makeup on, the hair did, and all that kind of stuff. Giant Adam's apple, about 6'2", big dude, basically. So, I would see him go to the bathroom, and I would just not go to the bathroom. I would wait for this person to use the bathroom, and then I would use the bathroom. Well, one day I got caught. I went in the bathroom. I didn't think the trans woman was coming in there, but he did. And so I'm sitting in the stall. I see the shoes, and I know the shoes. I see them under stall, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to completely ignore this. I'm uncomfortable. It doesn't matter. We're in stalls. I'm just going to get out as fast as I can, wash my hands, just get the hell out of here. So I go pee. There's two other women also in the bathroom, so there's 4 of us total. But I get out of the stall. I start washing my hands, and all of a sudden, this older black woman comes in, and you could just tell this woman had gone to church her entire life, and she's very that type of woman, right? So she walks in, and she sees a trans woman, which again, he's 6'1", 6'2", with a big dude, Adam's apple, all that kind of stuff. As she just screams out, pearl clutching, literally, "There's a man in our bathroom," right? Now, this woman is probably every bit of 65 years old, okay? So I understood at that time, her just upsetness of what the hell are you doing in here? And any woman, I think you guys just would mostly understand it. If you haven't been in that situation, maybe you won't. If you have, maybe you will. But I was washing my hands while this happened, and I'm telling you, I was trying to keep my head down, and I was cringing all the way inside and did not want to be a part of the scene at all. But the trans woman said to my coworker, "How dare you?" in a very manly voice. "How dare you? I'm a woman," all this kind of stuff. So the trans woman goes down right then and there to HR. I'm pulled down to HR because I'm now a quote unquote witness. So I have to write down what happened. And I'm not going to lie. So I wrote down what happened. The 60-plus-year-old black woman was fired on the spot, lost her job. She had been there 3-4 years. The trans woman had been there not even a year. And to me, that has just never sat right to me, ever. Why? Why should this woman lose her job because she felt uncomfortable with a male in the bathroom? So let me just read up you guys' comments. and see what you guys are saying here. Because I've been yakking for a minute. So let me see. Yeah, wow, you guys got a lot to say. We'll start with Colleen here. Colleen, they identify as male or woman, but then are sexually attracted either male or female, then can be gay or straight. Yeah, and that just doesn't make any sense to me, Colleen, quite frankly. I'm just speaking my feelings, okay? Untameable. This has been pushed on the public through programming for years now. I agree. I absolutely agree with that. Cluckers. Cluckers, I've missed you, Cluckers, in case I haven't told you. Jerry, I missed you too. Jerry, I don't think a biological male should be able to decide one day that he feels like a woman, be able to legally enter the ladies' room. I agree with that. I agree with that. As a woman, I agree with that. Because as a woman, you know, let's get into Riley Gaines here. If you guys are unaware of who Riley Gaines is, Riley Gaines was a swimmer. If you're unaware of who Leah Thomas is, Leah Thomas was previously Leah Thomas's dead name, as the trans community calls it, was Will Thomas. Will Thomas became Leah Thomas and started to swim in the female collegiate level. Okay. So Leah Thomas tied with Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines being a biological woman that has swam her whole life. Leah Thomas being a biological male that has started to identify as a female. Leah Thomas, previously Will Thomas, I think was 455th in the male division, but in the female division, placed first. So Riley Gaines, and I have to say this as a woman, and if that offends anyone, I'm sorry. And again, this is an open discussion. You guys are more than welcome to disagree with me and say whatever you would like to say. I will not, ban you or hate you for your own views. These are my views. But I give big props to Riley Gaines for speaking out and saying, no, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is a biological male that stood in front of the world with a swimsuit on, with his penis very prominent in that swimsuit. And they actually tied. And what the Swimming Association decided to do was not do anything spectacular. They told Riley Gaines, we're going to give this trophy to Leah Thomas. You could stand here for a picture, but this trophy is going home with her. And as a mother of daughters, that concerns me. And I'll be honest, neither one of my daughters are big into sports. But for other mothers of daughters who have daughters that compete, that work their butts off, that go above and beyond for sports, for them to get to a collegiate level only for a biological male to step in and say, hey, guess what, guys? I'm now a woman. I know you could see my penis straight through my swimsuit and all of that, but I'm just telling you that I'm a woman, so you all should just believe that, and I should be able to compete against these other biological women, and I know I'm going to kick their ass, but I just feel like I'm a woman, and that should be allowed. Again, as a mother of daughters and of sons, to me, that is completely wrong. And any mother or father that has a daughter that has worked their asses off in sports, to have this happen to them. It's not right. And I'm gonna say something to all of you women, okay? Because Bud Light tried this, and we watched that happen with Dylan Mulvaney. They tried it, and the backlash was severe. Males were not having this bullshit. They were not having none of this. You are not putting she, her, they, them, all this bullshit on my damn beer can. We're not having any of this. The problem is that women, there's an erasure here. We are literally being called chest feeders. I'm not a chest feeder. I'm a woman. I have breastfed 4 out of my 6 children. I'm not a chest feeder. I'm a woman. I'm a mother. Women need to stand up more, in my opinion. They need to stand up more. When you have Dylan Mulvaney, a male, who has run the gamut of being a gay male, then a bisexual male, now a transgender woman, now he wants to date women, so he's a lesbian, but he's actually a straight male. All of this nonsense. You have these companies that are hiring men that are cosplaying as women to sell us products that they will never use. What male needs to use a tampon? Which one? Who? Where? This could actually kill them. But if you go look on TikTok, just take a gander on TikTok. There are tons of them that are opening up boxes of tampons. They are inserting them into their anuses. Sorry, that's a fact. And they're telling you how it feels. And they're also getting sponsorships. Why would I want to hear from a male how a tampon feels up your anus? Why would I want to do that? And not only that, they're not fully understanding how toxic, literally body toxic, this actually is. This could kill you. It's not a game. It's not, oh, let me see how women feel. Yes, Miss Glass, you are exactly right. They're making fun of us, just my opinion. Dylan Mulvaney has made a mockery of women. A mockery. When I saw Dylan Mulvaney talk about, this is my first day of womanhood, and I've cried 3 times, and I wrote a letter I didn't send, and blah, blah, blah. What? Is that what we do? Is that what women do? We write 3 different letters we don't send, and we cry 3 times a day, and we do all that. I don't have time to cry 3 times a day. I really don't. I wish I could. I just can't. So, again, I've been watching the trans movement for years at this point. And I'll say it again. In the beginning, I was very pro-trans. I felt like if that's how you feel, I have no issue with that. That's how you feel, and you should live as you want. But I do want to say this. I feel like there are people that have actual gender dysphoria. They actually have this. It is a mental illness. I have seen trans people with gender dysphoria legitimately talk about this, talk about what it felt like, talk about how it felt to transition into a woman and how they felt comfortable, and they've moved on with their lives. And then I feel like there's social media. Social media plays a very large part in this. And now you have this entire generation of kids that are just literally confused. They don't know. I don't know. I mean, they think they're this sex or that sex or this sex or that, or they're attracted to this or they're attracted to that. And what I feel like is happening with all of these trans activists, with all of these trans allies, if you will, I feel like they are actually hurting actual people that have gender dysphoria more than anybody else ever could. Okay. Colleen is saying, let me just catch that real quick. You don't even have to be trans to have body dysmorphia. Exactly correct. Exactly true. So, you know, I seen something. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this kid. Colleen, it absolutely is. It's being pushed to a point where, I'm looking at my own children. Like, exactly, what is being taught in schools? Like, I don't have. Okay, here's my question for you guys, right? I don't have a problem with gay people. None. Like, just literally zero. If that's your sexual preference, I don't care. It just doesn't faze me in any way, shape, or form. But I've always had this question, and I feel like nobody ever answers it. And if somebody does answer it, I just want an answer, period. But when you have pride parades, I wish we had Robbie on right now. I feel like Robbie could maybe like give insight. I don't know. But when you have pride parades, right? Like what are we or what are the people attending pride parades actually celebrating? And I ask this very genuinely. Are you celebrating what are you celebrating? That's always my question. Like, are you celebrating like, hey guys, I like to have sex with people that are the same sex as me? Is that a cause for a celebration? And again, I'm asking this very, very genuinely. Not in a hateful way, not in a way that we shouldn't have these. I'm more questioning why we have them and what exactly are we celebrating. So I want to read what Squirrel is saying here. So Squirrel is saying, I saw ladies saying that they are having a gay baby, or when told the sex of a child, they decided they will raise it as a gender that they want. Okay. That's insanely disturbing to me. And if you guys want to know why I want to talk about this, I don't know about you guys. I do watch a lot of TikTok, and the things that I've seen on TikTok are just disturbing, like all the way around. You have multiple biological males that are claiming to have periods, period cramps, using tampons. I have seen multiple biological males saying that they actually can get pregnant, which they can't. I have seen multiple biological males carrying tampons and pads in their purses, which what is the reason for that? Um it does not make sense. And I think another thing that I have an issue with is if I wanted to say, hey guys, I'm a helicopter, you guys could all look at me and be like, yeah, Jess, I mean, cool story, bruh. But you don't have to agree with me because you clearly know that I'm not a helicopter, right? But when we see a trans person, and again, they might have a full beard. I've seen plenty of them. Full male body, whatever. And they tell you to your face, I am a woman. You know, inside of your mind, that is not true. That this person has none of the reproductive parts of an adult female human, that they're not a woman in any way, shape, or form. But by societal standards at this point, we have to say, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're a woman. Because if not, you are going to be labeled as transphobic. You are going to be labeled as a bigot. That's what it is. Come back soon, cluckers. But yes, and it's disturbing. It really is. But the most disturbing part is the misinformation to our children. And this is why I put on my community post. I would like to. I don't know any drag queens. If you guys do, please put them in touch with me. If you guys know any trans people, please put them in touch with me. I would like to have a very well rounded discussion about how everyone feels and how we come to conclusions with things. And the thing is with drag queens, I don't have a lot to say about it. What I have to say is I see nothing wrong with drag shows for adults. I feel like that's what they're for. That's what they've always been made for. There's a burlesque type feeling to drag shows. But when we're having story time with our children, with drag queens, why are we doing that? What is the agenda? What is the teaching? What exactly is a drag queen reading a story to your kindergartner, your first, second, third, fourth, fifth grader? What is this achieving exactly? Is this just to show that a male can dress as a woman and read a storybook? What is the goal here? And I have an issue with that. I just I again I'm trying to understand what is the goal. Same thing. Up. Hang on. Kid talk. Just give me a sec. Sorry. Gotta mute. Okay. So funnily enough, it's Friday night, so my kids can stay up later. But my 11-year-old walks in and is like, "Mom, are you talking about trans people?" And I said, "Yes." I had to mute it, and I just said to him, like, "What do you think?" And he was like, "I think they're confused." So that's from an 11-year-old boy. But anyway, so Squirrel is saying again. The one guy spoke out about story time, and there is a lot to that which has been twisted. The one that started with it has stopped and received death threats, his family too. Okay, I will never be for death threats against anyone. Like literally never. If you are dressed as a woman and reading a story, I feel like that's very strange and that there's not really a point to it. But am I going to wish death on you? Absolutely not. And I think that is just absolutely ridiculous. So Friday, Colleen, yes, girl. But we're going to talk about something controversial. And I feel like I feel like there's so many people that think, this isn't really right. You're kind of like forcing me to like tell a lie with you. Like you're saying you're a woman. I know you're not a woman, but you're kind of making me say it, or I might lose my job, or I might be ostracized from the community, or people might not like me if I just tell the truth. And I'm wondering when the truth became a bad thing. When did the truth become a bad thing? When did the truth become a four-letter word? I'll tell you a trans woman YouTuber, and I've spoke about her before, that I like a lot, and that is Blair White. You can look her up. She's a big YouTuber. She is a trans woman. But Grandma, if you have a story, you can come right on up and tell it. I'll put the link here for you. But Blair White is a transgender woman. And she makes no bones about who she is. She's fully aware that she's never going to have a child out of her own reproductive organs. She elected not to have bottom surgery because, and let's talk about this just for a second. Bottom surgery for transgender women, which are biological males. When you have bottom surgery as a male, bottom surgery meaning they cut off your penis, you will never, ever, ever be able to experience an orgasm. To me, might not for other people, but for me, that is a human thing. Most people, not all, but most people experience orgasms throughout their life, right? But when we're doing this hormone blocker, estrogen, testosterone giving to children, when I say children, again, under the age of 18, and then you also give them bottom surgery under the age of 18, you are preventing them from ever having an orgasm. You chop off a biological male's part, they will never be able to experience an orgasm. So, again, back to Blair White, who elected not to do that. And what she said was, I know that if I cut this off, I read the fine print, I'll never be able to experience that. She doesn't lie about who she is. She's with a man. This man fully, obviously, it's her fiance, knows exactly what part she has. There's no lie there. And she doesn't want to get rid of that part because she knows that in their sexual experiences together, that she will not be able to experience an orgasm if she gets rid of that part. And if you do, for a male, you chop off the penis, you basically have an open wound. And they try to create what is called a neo vagina, aka a fake vagina. And this is it's very difficult to do. And the sad part about it is that yes, there will be a hole there, but that's all it is. You will not be able to experience an orgasm. A male, if that's what you're attracted to, or a female that wants to put a strap on, whatever you're attracted to, whatever they stick inside of you, you will feel nothing from that because they are basically sticking something inside of an open wound inside of your body. And to me, that is extremely unfortunate. Yes, squirrel. Yes. And Damien, yes, but that's not how you spell disgusting, but I'll take it. Squirrel, never nerve endings, muscles, scar tissue, and so on and so forth. Exactly. Damien, did you really? How in the world did you experience? You saw a surgery live? How? And that's also highly disturbing. Because here's the thing I've seen the argument where people say, well, women get breast jobs and, body, mommy makeovers, which if you guys don't know what a mommy makeover is, it's where we've had children and, we have stretch marks and our boobs don't stand up to our chin anymore. And, things are a little different because you've experienced childbirth and you've given birth to a child. So things change within your body. So women elect, to try to have all those things pulled back up and put back into place and kind of feel like themselves again. And so they say, how can you say all this and that when women, have boob jobs and have all this and that? What's that any different from a trans person having surgery? Well, there's a huge difference. And the difference is this, is that women, biological women, that have experienced childbirth, breast sagging, things like that, they want to just feel a little bit better about themselves. They know what bodies they had before. They're just kind of tucking things and making things back to the way that they were. But with a trans person, You are literally cutting off body parts where there is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with your breasts. There's nothing wrong with your penis. There's nothing wrong with your vagina. You just don't like that part. You just want to get rid of that part. There's a huge difference here. Big difference. Untamable Able, totally agree with you here. They're saying circumcision. Please turn that off. You can have my whole thing demonetized. Circumcision also diminishes orgasm, believe it or not. I do believe you. I have a personal story with that, not with myself, but with someone I know very close. I don't want to out them, so I'm not going to. But I will tell you that as a small boy, circumcision did not go correctly. And yes, there was a lack of feeling there. So you are correct. Grandma, love you, Grandma. Yeah, you'd think it would be a very sore neo vajayjay during sexual activity. Well, yes, because hypothetically, well, not hypothetically, wrong word. Realistically would be the right word. It is a gaping wound. It's not a vagina. There's nothing inside that would make it a vagina. So when these surgeries are performed on young biological males, they are chopping off the penis and they're creating an open wound gap inside of that body. And that wound, like your body does to any wound that you get, it's going to try to heal it. It's going to try to close it. It's going to try to fix it. And so what biological males have to do when they transition is they have to take a dildo like substance, they have to lube it, and they must stick it inside of that open wound to keep the depth and the width of the neo vagina. And again, this is just for another person's pleasure. This is not for that person's pleasure. But the sad thing about it is these minors and these young adults are not exactly being told that. What they're being told is this is life changing for you. This is what you want it to be. You act like a female. You wear makeup. You put dresses on. You basically are a female. You should have a vagina. They don't tell them that once we cut off your penis, you will not have an orgasm again. And then I see other people saying things like, why are you so worried about other people's orgasms? Well, I'm not. But when it comes to children, you're not telling them the truth. And there's countries like Canada where if you even misgender your child, if your child tells you if they're biologically a boy, but they want to identify as a girl and they say, hey, I'm a girl, and you continue to call them a boy, you get arrested. That's real. That's facts. That's happens. I think what upsets me the most, I'm a very feminist person. I don't really think I've ever tried to hide that. Am I some crazy feminist that wants to bleed out of their pants and do all this kind of nonsense? No. A feminist in the sense that I want women. Oh yes, Colleen, that happens. But a feminist in the sense that do I want the betterment of women? For sure. Absolutely. I have daughters. Why would I not want that? Let me read up. I think Damien's in here. Damien, okay, we're gonna have to ask this question. Damien, if you don't get your ass up here, because I see you. So I'm gonna put this link one more damn time. Get up here, and I would like to know how you know that it's stinky. How do you? I'm sorry. We're gonna have to laugh here because I would like to know how Damien thinks it's stinky as f. I don't know if he's just saying this whole thing stinks, or I don't know if he's experienced a neo vagina and he's aware that it's stinky as f. Damien, if you could clarify, sir, please. Are neo vaginas smelly? Because I could tell you now, as a woman of 42 years, sometimes I've had grandma or any of you, Colleen, any of you guys on here. When you're a woman, you know that your pH balance can be thrown off, and that can be thrown off in any number of ways. If a male ejaculates inside of you, that's going to throw your pH balance off. It's going to cause an odor. If you get, what is it? It's BV. That's the abbreviation, and for some reason I can't remember the word. But if you get that, you do have to take antibiotics. It's not an STD, but it can make it smell a little funny. Oh, so Damien has read reviews. I've read reviews. Okay. Well, okay. Fine. I can hardly talk. I had a stroke. So Damien had a stroke reading reviews on the stench of the neo vaginas, which is just hilarious to me. Grandma, but if it's stinky, there is something wrong. Well, yes, Grandma. I mean, as women, you should know. You've been a woman a little longer than me. But yes, if a male ejaculates inside of you, it can absolutely cause a stench. If you have bacterial vaginitis, that's the word I was looking for. Um, Absolutely, it will cause a stench. It doesn't have to be an STD. Have I experienced these things throughout my life? Absolutely. I'm a woman. Again, there's a very delicate balance with your vagina and your pHB balance, and whenever that gets thrown off, there can be a weird odor to it. But you were serious about the stroke, D. Can you just please come up here and talk about your reviews? I just want to hear what you have to say about the reviews. David, come on. You took Twitter by storm. Like, give me a fucking break, bro. All these women will probably love your dumbass. Damien has been like a brother to me. You guys don't know Damien like that, but Damien has been like a brother to me since probably 2013. He's an asshole. He gets on my nerves. Absolutely brilliant person. We have definitely gone rounds and rounds on different topics, different things. But I will say that Damien is a very intelligent person. He always gives a different perspective, which is why to this day, we're still cool. And the funny thing is that Damien lives in the same state I do. He only lives probably, I don't know, 35 minutes from me. But we've never met in person. We just keep it online because that's what we do. But, I always look at Damien as a brother type figure to me. I did something stupid one time. I'm not going to elaborate. Damien, you shut your mouth. But I'll tell you, Damien came at me like the biggest brother ever. And what the F are you doing, Jess? And you better not do this and this and that and da 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 da. And he gave it to me. So yeah, just a brother to me. What do you mean, Dick? Damien's saying I could type all good, but can't talk so great now. Well, what happened to your voice? What do you mean you can't talk so great now? Grandma, if you have a story to tell, please come up. I would love any guests. I would love any stories you guys have to tell, any opinions you guys have. I want to hear them. I cannot talk. I've been talking by myself for an hour straight. But you guys are always so gun shy. Colleen, I would love to hear from you. Allie, wait a minute. Damien, you're okay. Hold. So you're telling me you actually had a stroke?
I'll tell you that about 10 minutes ago.
Well, I didn't. You don't know Damien. Damien messes with me all the damn time. You can never tell when he's actually serious. He actually had a damn stroke. Well, Jesus Christ. Hi, Grandma.
Well, now you're listening to him.
Well, you don't know Damien. Damien will bullshit me. Damien, he's a jokester, okay? They used to call me Kermit, and he was Fozzie, or maybe vice versa. But it was the meme where Fozzie was yelling at Kermit, and they always used to say this with me and Damien. So he's like a brother to me. I didn't really feel like he actually had a stroke. I thought he was joking because he jokes like that. That's why.
Well, no, he had said that a while back in the chat, and nobody really noticed, but I noticed.
No, I did notice. I just thought he was bullshitting me.
Oh, fair enough.
But anyway, but Damien, well, I love you. I hope you're okay. If you're not, inbox me, DM me or something. We'll chat about it. I really didn't. I really wasn't taking you seriously. I thought you were saying like you had a stroke from looking at the trans shit online. That's really what I thought you were saying.
Like I said, fair enough.
Fair. I know he did. Fair enough. Look, he
Right, I do
remembers
have a
that meme. It was
story.
awesome. That meme was so awesome. The Kermit and Fozzie. That was me and Damien all day long. But anyway, Grandma, I want to hear your story. You said you had a story to tell, and I did
Well,
see it.
well, I do. I used to work for a very large forklift company, and I worked in the parts department as an administrator. And we had people that I was in Washington State. We had people that we dealt with down in California. And there was this old dude, and he was like, well, now he doesn't seem so old, but he was like 63, 64, and he had been with the company forever. We got kind of a heads up that he was not going to be him anymore. He was going to be her. And her new name was Sarah, and we are to address Sarah as such. And when Sarah came up from California, Sarah was dressed as a woman, decent, normal lady type business clothes, and his mustache and his junk. And then things
So
happened
I
within.
love that you're laughing, but
Well,
because did
well,
this
it was
let
like,
me ask you a question. Did
yeah.
this person attempt at, to their best ability to present as a woman?
Well, not with a great big bushy old, Wilford Brimley mustache.
So clearly not, but expected you to say that. And here's Christ Wrath saying, I'm a gay male. And I can tell you, Jess, I'm totally against the trans movement. And can I speak just for a second, Grandma?
Of course,
Because
honey.
I feel like a lot of gay people, lesbian people, I feel like their movement of being accepted into society and living their lives as they want are being diminished
Yes.
by the trans movement.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah, because I totally feel like gay people just came out and said, hey, our brains are wired a little bit differently, okay? And we like the same sex, but that's all. We just want to live our regular lives.
Yeah, they just want to live their
We want
lives
to
and
own
love
a
who they
house.
love.
Yeah, we want to go to work. We want to own our houses. We want to do all that kind of stuff. But just know, sorry, whatever it means to you. But we just like the same sex, and that's it. We're not trying to bother anybody. We're not trying to change any English language. We're not trying to make you do some pronoun crap. We're not
Right.
trying to do any of that. We're just telling you that this is who we are, and we would just like to live a normal life.
Yeah, they just wanted to avoid persecution from people
Right.
who are different.
Right. And then I feel like the trans movement comes along and is like, hey, guess what? We're about to screw all of this up for all of you guys.
Right.
You
I feel
know,
that way too. It's a totally
yeah,
different thing. To me, it's a totally separate issue.
same.
Because
I do not
I don't care
put
who anybody sleeps with. I honest to God, I don't care who anybody sleeps with. You're going home to do your own thing. It is not my business to say. I just don't want you ramming that down my throat. Like I don't bring up like, when was the last time I had sex or something with you? I mean, and who it was with or what sex they were. I don't bring it up. I don't think other people should. It's embarrassing.
well, Grandma, Squirrel is asking, did Sarah do a good job?
Once Sarah became Sarah, no, and that was the problem. I was about to mention that is that no, when he was
No.
still he was pretty much dodging work and not getting things done. He was like an IT specialist. But what ended up happening was he started slacking off after he became Sarah, because the bottom was still all the same, never did change that apparently. And and she had problems at work, not getting things done, and was let go after a period of time. And not right away. It was like a couple years or something. But during that couple of years, guess whose kid started working there and blew everybody away and became the IT guy for the entire West Coast? My kid. Oh yeah. So,
Yeah.
Sarah left because other
Well,
things
because
became more
I really
important.
do feel like there's this thing where the second that somebody says, "Hey, I'm transgender," all of a
Oh,
sudden you can't say a damn thing, or you're just transphobic. And I want to read what Christ Wrath is saying right now. And again, Christ Wrath is a gay male, and he's saying mostly because of what they are doing to teens and children.
yes.
They're taking these kids who are not mature enough to be adults and forcing a sexual preference onto them before they even know what sex is. I could not agree more.
Well, but
I
also
could not agree more.
anything like that where you're taking a young, vulnerable person and you're steering them in a direction that you think that
That
they
you
should
think.
go, or that
Yes.
you want. Okay, like Jazz Jennings, right? Jazz's mom is behind a lot of this problem because she steered Jazz towards doing this at a young age. And it was just too soon. I feel really bad for Jazz. I really do.
You know what? I'm about to actually pull up some Jazz Jennings stuff.
There is so much heartbreak there that was
Listen,
completely
there's a ton.
avoidable.
There's a
And the
ton.
mother's like way too in Jazz's business. It's gross. It's a boundary issue
Well,
and
you
it's not
know,
healthy.
when I heard Jazz Jennings' mother say, "Oh, Jazz doesn't want to do this," well, I'm going to go into her room
Yep. And do it
and
for us.
I'm going to lube it up and I'm going to stick this thing inside of their, I'm going to put it my own way. Their opening gaping wound, whether they like it or not.
Yes.
Excuse me? Because this is what Jazz Jennings' mother said.
Did I
I
did
would never, my 11-year-old son, I have not seen his genitalia in a couple years.
oh my
Why?
God, neither did I.
Well, he's old enough to take a shower by himself. Unless there's something wrong where he needs to come to me and say, "Hey, mom, there's something really wrong here. Can you take a look?" Sure. But other than that, there's no reason for me to look at my son's genitalia
Nope,
at
it's
all.
there. It's
And
still there
hell,
too.
if I would be, oh, Jace, I know you're 11, but I'm gonna come stick something in your vagina, your faux vagina, while you're sleeping. If you don't do this, it just, I mean, To me,
It's
you are
sick.
sexually violating somebody. I don't give a shit if that is your child or not.
But
What is wrong with you?
you hear Jazz say things like things that are just oozing regret. It's just so much sadness. There's so much regret. And you hear about people that go
Oh,
through
I
the
see it.
whole trans thing, whichever direction it is, they go through all that and they end up unhappy anyway. And the mental problems that were underlying there from the beginning are still there. And
Yes,
some of them go, unalive themselves.
yes, they do.
And that is
And
the
we
one
could
thing
look
we
at
all agree on. We don't want
John
that.
Money for that. I'm going to share my screen because I want to show Jazz Jennings.
Breaks my heart.
And well, it's incredibly sad. But I want to
When I
see
saw
Jazz
Jazz
Jennings'
as a
mother.
little kid, Jazz looked like he was going to be gay and normal
And maybe
little
he
gay
was,
kid.
and that's okay.
Jazz,
Can you
That's what
guys
I'm
see
saying. Normal
this?
little gay kid. Big deal.
dilating gel in front of my TV. Oh, I'm
Wait.
somewhere.
Grandma, can you see this or no?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's play it. So this is Jazz Jennings. If you guys don't know anything about Jazz Jennings, I think Grandma, correct me if I'm wrong. Jazz Jennings, at the age of 2, 3 years old, um, undid his onesie, right? Which any kid, male or female, will do. I've had both. They'll undo their onesie, they'll take off their diaper, they'll do all kinds of things. But he did this, and he pulled it down, and his mother took that as a sign that somehow he was wearing a dress and wanted to be a girl. It's an
Really?
extremely young age. I mean, we're literally talking 2, 3 years old.
How many times did my boys tuck it in there and walk around like that and think it was hysterically funny?
Exactly. Like I
It
said,
meant
my
nothing.
3-year-old, when Jace was 3 years old, he constantly put on his sister's headbands, Callista's headbands all the time, all her head shit. Nobody made a big deal. We laughed at him. Oh, Jace, you're so cute, and we would laugh at him, and he never made bones about it. But Jazz Jennings' mom decided that him undoing his onesie and pulling it down was some crazy sign that he must be a male. And then I think I should have probably gotten these ages right before I did this live stream. But I think Jazz was excuse me, young. I want to say 7, 8, possibly 6, 7, 8, where they started to do some sort of transition, letting him dress as a girl, solely dress as a girl. And then I believe around 11, 10, 11,
Mhm.
12, they started doing the hormone blockers for Jazz. So the
Right.
story on Jazz is because they were doing those hormone blockers, and I think we were talking about this earlier, but because they were doing this on him, by time he reached 16, 17 years old, and they had done all these hormone blockers, they're blocking testosterone. His penis is clearly not growing. They're pumping estrogen into him. All of these things. He ended up having bottom surgery as a minor, under the age of 18. And because they had done all these hormone blockers, there wasn't a lot of penis, quite frankly,
No.
to work
No.
with. It didn't really grow. So Jazz has had multiple surgeries that have gone extremely bad. And now you're seeing a 20, 21-year-old Jazz who is questioning, who am I? I don't even feel
Yes.
like myself ever. And this is a person that was smart enough to go to Harvard and did not go because Kishi, however you want to say, has gained so much weight, is so depressed that they don't even know what they're doing. But I'm going to play this video for you guys. And this is Jazz Jennings. His mom, Jeanette. Again, you can read the top of this. I'm going to drop this down. But it says, Jazz Jennings pillow scene. Jeanette, again, Jeanette is his mom, demands Jazz dilate or I will. So let's watch this real quick.
And the elephant comes out.
I dilate in here sometimes, watching TV. Dilation is a process that comes along with bottom surgery.
Okay, you can take the gel back in the room with you when
Yes,
you're done,
I can take
though.
the gel
You don't
back.
have to right now.
Here. Basically,
There's just no right answer.
you take this long acrylic object and insert it up your vaginal canal so that you maintain depth and width. It's really important that you do this because if you don't, your vagina will start closing up and it'll lose its depth and you won't be able to use it properly.
The older Jazz gets, the more he's going to realize how nightmarish it is that he has to do this, that everybody knows he has to do this, because his parents wanted to be very sure that a man could sexually penetrate him where his penis used to be. You can see the trauma on his face.
What are you guys talking about?
We're talking about you.
You're almost ready to be a totally independent adult.
I know that I'm not 100% perfect and I'm not 100% at the level we want me to be, but I'm working on it day by day. I'm a work in progress.
How are you going to get out of bed at school?
I get out of bed. I've been setting my alarm that wakes up the whole house, but
Yes.
I get up.
And turn it off, and then you go back into bed a lot.
Well, that's because I don't necessarily need to wake up early on those days. I just try to, but
What if we recruited a therapist to help? Maybe a therapist could help change his behaviors.
What if classes are
in the morning,
slated for the morning?
then I'll just have to get used to whatever schedule I set up for myself.
Jazz knows how to talk and impress you with what she says, and I believe she believes what she's saying, but the proof is in the pudding.
So they place unreasonable expectations on him that they reasonably expect that he won't be able to meet. And then when he doesn't meet those expectations, they stigmatize him.
All right, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about with you both. It's nothing new. It has to do with eating and the food situation. Since talking to Sander, I realized that I've just been deceiving myself and my family. You know, I create all these promises that I never hold true to, and I think I have to take the pressure off myself and stop forcing myself to diet and eat healthy and try to lose this weight, because the pressure I put on myself is really negatively impacting my mental health. I'm still not losing weight, and I'm really discouraged because I've taken photos with Sander and Griffin and I posted them online, and I'm accountable for how much weight I lose and how healthy I am. And I'm just not feeling the way I want to feel.
Well, it's up to you. It's on you.
I know. Yeah.
Mom, Dad, can I have some support? No.
I feel confident that I will lose the weight. I just don't know when it's going to start, like the process. I don't want to do a diet. I want to change my whole life. I've said this over
I
and over
want
again.
to change my whole life.
Jazz needs to go somewhere where he has actual support, where he doesn't have to think about his meal plan, he doesn't have to shop, he doesn't have to do his laundry. He can just focus on recovering and having all of his needs met by staff that's actually there for his best interests, where he's not being followed around by cameras, where he's not being harassed by his freaking brothers all the time, where his mom's not telling the TV crew about his dilator gel.
You sound
Okay?
like you're getting very stressed out talking
Because it
about this.
is. I'm way 100 pounds heavier than I want to weigh right now, and I'm stuck in my
You
body.
don't have to have all the answers.
I'm not looking for
In
answers.
fact,
I
you
just
may
want to
not
be happy.
Be able to answer it by yourself.
I'm ready to get off this weight loss train. I feel like I lost sight of the goal. Instead of losing weight for myself to feel good and healthy, I almost felt like I was doing it for other people. Between stepping on the scale every single week, my family, criticizing me, going to a nutritionist, it has just felt like a lot of pressure.
Don't stress out over it.
I'm just
you know,
stressing
it's not-
because I've been trying for so long and I keep falling short.
Perhaps he can feel how inadequate their interventions are for the enormity of the compulsions he is dealing with that may be so enormous because they may be the result of a brain injury induced by the puberty blockers.
It's okay.
Exactly.
It doesn't define you. Don't let it define you.
I feel like once I go off to school, I'll be living on my own and I'll be able to make decisions for myself, not for anyone else. And that includes weight loss, you know? Maybe if I alleviate some of the stress and pressure that I put on myself, then I could lose weight in a more natural way. I love you both. Thank you for always supporting me. I'm going to continue stepping into my identity as an independent adult, and I just can't do it without either of you. So thanks for being by my side.
He's clearly furious at them.
We love you.
Love you.
We're always
All right,
gonna
have a
be
good
here.
night.
Bye. Don't forget to dilate.
Don't forget to dilate.
Sleep and taken the dilator and put the lubrication on it and said, "Here, you take this and you put it in your vagina. If not, I will." But Jazz is bad, even when I'm home once a day.
Exhausting.
Sounds like it stresses her out just talking about.
She stresses me out. And she's not trying to. It's just everything.
Well, obviously, it's something that's very complicated and wasn't something that.
I would be so mad if she goes away to college and that thing seals up. I will wring her neck. Can you imagine?
She was able to, snap her fingers and fix.
I can never get inside her head when it comes.
Is it normal for Mother Dearest to have a pillow with her child's face on it on her bed?
Most of this stuff. I can't relate to what it's like to be a binge eater. It must be very difficult.
At this point, we really have to just kind of step back. We're not going to put any pressure on her. It's time for her to really just focus on the more important things at the moment. We're really just waiting to hear from Harvard, and we're looking forward to the response because we just don't.
Who's ready to hatch?
Okay.
I'm gonna stop it there because it's just so ridiculous. I mean, you hear her mother literally say, if I can't stick this up inside of her, I'm gonna be mad. And the parents, I mean, can we not see that this is not the problem?
Boundary issues is a problem.
Huge boundary issues.
Healthy boundaries.
What's Christ Rest saying? Yes, and they double stuff the pillowcases, stress them out to mass the extra 100 pounds. Apparently, Damien found that funny. Christ Rest, I love my wiener. I'm glad you do, Christ. We all love your wiener. I'd never cut it off. I hope you never do. As South Park's Butter says, wiener's out. Exactly. Sir, wiener's out. Okay?
Wiener.
His wiener's out. But it's just, you look at these parents and you're just like, what the fuck? What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? She's over here, and that wasn't even the worst part. That was actually, I think, a good cut of it. But I'm telling you, there was a little part in there where everybody, I mean, I don't know if you guys missed it or not, but where her mother says, yeah, if she doesn't, I'm gonna stick that thing up there. What?
Yes, because if she doesn't dilate, I will.
Yes.
Yeah.
If she doesn't dilate her wound in her body, I'm going to go in her room in the middle of the night and do that. If I did that to any one of my children, I promise you, my kids are the most headstrong damn kids in the world. The cops will be called. The cops will be called. They would have the cops out here. My mother has sexually assaulted me. They're sticky things in my body. But why is this not for Jazz Jennings? Why is this not being set for Jazz Jennings?
I was going to say,
any number of people
this
should have.
is apparently a 23-year-old woman, right? It's supposed to be a 23-year-old woman.
21 or 22.
Oh, there's she's 23 years old now.
Definitely.
So anyway, it's an adult. I don't care if she can go to war and buy a gun and vote and all that shit.
Can
Come
you
on.
honestly imagine going into your son's room and
No.
sticking anything, I don't care what it is, in any of their body orifices, and what they would do.
Oh, I could tell a story right now. John might be pissed.
Yes, crisis wrath. That's exactly what she said. So mom basically just says she
Oh
was
my
going to
God.
trust her son. Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what she just said. That if he was not going to dilate his faux vagina, that she was going to come in there and in the middle of the night and do that. That's exactly what she just said. Damien
Vagina's funny.
to be convinced that they're actually sleeping with their child. I don't know about that, Dig.
Oh,
But
that's wrong.
so Christ Wrath is saying Jazz will never be an adult. He's so mentally unstable he can't function on his own.
I know.
That is what most of us are looking at this as. How did you reconcile in your mind that this was okay to do to your child?
This is a case study in what not to do to a child.
Exactly.
Look at the results and the self-hatred in this kid. And trying to go into adulthood already ruined.
You see the sadness.
Yes.
And, I'm glad you guys are here for me. But it's just they're not. You know what I mean? And I will say, if you guys have not followed Jazz Jennings, I've been watching Jazz Jennings for a number of years. He's been on TLC as a very smaller child. And you guys know, if you do have children, younger children are much easier to manipulate or to get to go along with your thing. But once they get to a certain age, they start to have a mind of their own. And I think that's exactly what has happened to Jazz, because Jazz, as a younger child, wrote a book, and he was okay with his mom parading him around as this trans kid. But now that he's in his 20s,
and life
Jazz
slowing down from that crazy hecticness.
Yes. Jazz has just outspokenly said, I do not feel like myself ever.
Yes.
So Untamable is saying clearly trying to fill a void. And I want to touch on that just for a second, because Jazz's parents, his mother and his father, had 2 boys. And then Jazz was the 3rd boy, with the mother very much wanting a girl. Well, she had a boy. But now you see what that boy has turned into. And then Untamable is saying, Grandma, where'd you go? Wow, they have destroyed their own child. They have. And this is why a lot of people, I do not blame Jazz Jennings for what has happened, because what happened to him as a very young child. And if you want to Google his story, if you want to, whatever, look it up on your own, very young, extremely young. I'm talking again, 2-3 years old. And then the puberty blockers, hormone blockers, yada yada. That started at like 10, 11 years old. So, destroyed, absolutely. Grandma, if you want to come back up, come back up. Damien's saying, I thought this was old, but they actually have a show now. What the fuck? No, Damien. Jazz has been on TLC, I believe. Don't quote me, but I want to say anywhere from the age of 9 to 11. So no. Jazz Jennings has been the face of transgender children for a very long time. but you're now getting to see what that actually turns into. You saw him as a very young child, very gung-ho, very willing to go along with whatever his mother was doing. And I will say this about the Daily Wire. I don't know what you guys watch. I watch a variety of things. But I do watch the Daily Wire. I do not agree with them on everything. Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Brett Cooper. I do not agree with them about abortion, and I never will. But on the trans issue, I 100% agree with them. And they have definitely talked about Jazz Jennings, and I have seen Jazz Jennings on my own because I've been watching him for a long time. So when I seen him sing, I don't know if I should say him, her, I don't know. But when I seen that person sing, I never feel like myself. I just want to feel like myself, and I've never felt like myself. Well, that's probably because again, under 5 years old, your mother was already convinced that you were a different gender and a trans child. And so Jazz Jennings has been raised as that their entire life. And so now, as a 20, 21-year-old biological male who identifies as a female, Jazz Jennings is attracted to women, just like a straight biological male would be. And also publicly speaking out and saying, I do not feel like myself. Now, there was so much backlash with this that Jazz Jennings did come out and say, that's not what I meant. I'm totally okay with who I am and all this kind of stuff. And sadly, I have to say, I don't really believe you, Jazz. And what makes me incredibly sad about Jazz Jennings is several things. Number one, Jazz Jennings was never ever given the opportunity to feel what it would feel like to be a normal male, to be a male, period. He was transitioned so young and so early, he doesn't even know what that feels like. He has breasts. He was given hormone blockers and puberty blockers to where, again, his penis didn't grow, so there wasn't much there. Before he turned 18 years old, he got bottom surgery. So no orgasms, know what it is to be a 20-year-old male, a 21-year-old male, and nothing. And this is something that has been robbed from him. He will never in his lifetime know what it is like to experience an orgasm as a male. Never. That has been taken away from him fully.
Or a female.
Yeah, either or. You can't create a vagina that's gonna feel like that. There is no part there to do that. So again, just orgasm, period. There's gonna be none of that. This has been stolen from this person. And who are you? Anyone, even the parents. Who are you to do that to a child? Christ Wrath is saying a father in Canada has been arrested for child abuse for refusing to call his daughter a son. That is absolutely correct. If you guys have not watched, I did put this in my Discord, but if you guys have not watched Matt Walsh and his documentary on what it is or what is a woman, highly recommend. Highly recommend. And the reason I highly recommend this is because Matt Walsh does a brilliant thing. He chose not to argue, not to fight, not to, spout his opinions out. He went around the country and he asked doctors that were gender affirming doctors, psychologists. He went to colleges. He asked people in the street, "What is a woman?" And they could not answer this question. All across the freaking country, which is just the most basic question ever. What is a woman? It's an adult female reproductive person. There's nothing like, mind blowing about this. But nobody in the United States, no matter where he went, they could not answer this question. Go ahead, Grandma.
Good boy. Oh, sorry, hon.
Oh, you're fine. I thought you were saying something. But then, and this is the most, I don't know if you want to call it the most comical part. I don't know if it's comical. But he says, you know what? I can't find this answer in the United States because people are so afraid to talk about it. I'm going to fly to Africa. So he goes to Africa, and he comes across this tribe. Grandma, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they were the Maserati tribe. Is that how it's pronounced?
I'm not sure that's correct, hon, but close.
Something. We'll go with that. The Maserati tribe. That sounds
The
like a car.
Maserati, the Lamborghini tribe.
The Lamborghini tribe. But either way, this tribe freaking nailed it. Okay? Because they didn't have any of this bullshit. He asked them simple questions and they gave simple answers.
Oh.
Just,
Malawi.
he started asking them, well, what if a woman has a penis? Do you know what they did? They laughed at him. They laughed. That's hilarious. Who has that? If a small tribe in Africa can understand this basic concept, how is it that people in the United States get so damn confused they can't even tell you what a woman is?
Well, that's why the rest of the world's laughing at the United States right now.
Yeah.
Because it's become ridiculous.
Well, here's Christ's wrath. He had to throw his joke in there. Now I understand why black people name their daughters Lexus and Porsche. Well, they named their tribe Maserati, as far as I'm concerned. But it sounded like that. Maserati. Damien probably be able to tell you. Damien, you did not watch that. It was on Twitter. No, and that's not how you spell it. Look at Damien spelling it wrong. That is not how you spell it. But D, how did you not see this? This was on.
It was a Malawi.
I think it was spelled like that. Mazarar. Okay, no, I feel like I'm wrong now too. But Damien, yeah, this was on Twitter. It was streamed. They were only going to stream it for 24 hours because they put it behind a paywall. They put it behind Daily Wire's paywall. And then they decided a year later, actually, they made it a point, the first day of Pride Month, that they were going to stream this. And so they did on Twitter. And it was amazing because I watched it and what I saw was Matt Walsh not arguing with anyone, not trying to make anyone believe anything that he believed, not any of that. He was literally asking simple questions. And you had doctors and psychologists and academia people trying to answer this question. It was just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Grandma, will you take over for a sec? I gotta get paid.
Yeah, sure, man. I don't know. I think it's a big difference between what we think here is what is happening here with this woke ideology. Well, I kind of lump it in with that. I guess it's woke, but the rest of the world is laughing at us, thinking that you people are ridiculous. And yet we're the bad guys if we say, no, there's two genders. To me, there's two genders. You're male or you're female. Now, what you want to do with that is completely up to you, as long as you're not pushing it on children, which is my only concern. I don't care who's gay. I don't care who's straight. I don't care who anybody sleeps with at all. I just think that, don't ask everybody else to say that you're a woman if you still have your man stuff. I just think that that's ridiculous and you're asking too much of people. Thoughts on that, people?
I completely agree. I completely agree. Because again, I don't give a shit if you are sleeping with a man, a woman. If you're an adult, do what thou will. Do whatever you want. That's up to you. That's not my shit. If you believe in God, you'll be judged accordingly, or whatever the case may be. But I don't care. But when you start pushing this ideology onto children, now we have a problem, because I have children and I'm not with this shit at all. You're not going to just tell me or tell my child that, hey, guess what? Men can have vaginas. No, they don't. Women have penises. No, they don't. That's just simply untrue. That is a biological untruth. Damien is laughing with you, Grandma, as he's saying the world is laughing for sure.
They are.
Christ wrath. And this Trump indictment hoax is infuriating. This is Christ wrath. I'm so sick of Democrats attacking that poor old man. They're already abusing pedo Joe Biden. Now they're attacking Trump. I'm going to speak on that, Chris. I'm going to speak on that just for a minute. You're definitely going to have an ally with Damien there. Me and Damien definitely. Well, Damien, I'm a woman. I don't piss like a racehorse like you men. Okay, there's our difference. But Damien will definitely be a ally with Chris with this. Listen, I voted for Biden. I don't think Damien is going to be, or Grandma, or Chris. I don't think any of you guys are going to be, surprised by that. But what I have seen of him, I'm embarrassed.
You should be.
He can't form a freaking sentence.
He can't do a live talk without a teleprompter and a script.
He can't.
It's
I have
so
seen
sad.
this man do a word salad like no other. There's no way that I'm voting that way this time.
Good.
And then I get stuck, because I do believe in human rights. I do believe that people should have autonomy. And this is where I differ from the Daily Wire, because the Daily Wire, I totally agree with them on transgender ideology stuff. But when it comes to abortion and things like that, I totally disagree with them. Because for me, it really comes down to autonomy. And I hold that dearly over everything else. You can tell people what to do in a lot of different ways, but for the love of God, do not tell me what to do with my body. And I know that there are absolutely people that will disagree with that, and that's okay, but that's just how I feel. So go ahead, Grandma. Because if you don't believe
that we have
abortion,
opposing
I am not
views on
going
this.
to be mad at you. I am not nothing.
No,
I'm
I understand that. I just think that we have opposing views on this. I don't believe in abortion. I don't think that there's anything worse to do to your own soul than to do that, because that stays with a person.
Well, I will
And you never feel good
person
about
that
that.
has had an abortion. I think that it's different for everyone. I definitely have know people that have had an abortion and it's severely affected them.
Yes.
They
I
did
had
not get over
I had
it.
a friend who already had 3 children whose psychotic husband told her when she got pregnant with another one, if she did not have an abortion, he was going to kill all of them.
Yeah, yeah, and
And
there's
she
that. And
needed
that's
to
the
do
thing.
that. And
Yeah, there's a lot of
I
different scenarios. For me personally, I felt like it was the right thing for my life. I felt like it was the right thing for my other children. Because you add more kids, that's more money, that's more all of that. And so I feel to this day that I made the right decision and I do not regret it. But I absolutely know women that still harbor sad feelings and wondering what that child would have been like or what those cells would have grown into. And I have sympathy for that. I have
okay.
sympathy for that.
Now, here's my scenario. When I was very young, I met a girl who was 7 months pregnant. Just met her through another person, mutual person. And she was 7 months pregnant and was going in the following week to have this partial abortion with this baby who could have at 7 months lived, outside her womb. But she had her mind made up. And I couldn't even relate to this girl at all. I couldn't
7 months
understand.
pregnant, I can't relate to that either.
How is 7 months different than 4 months or 3 months?
Uh,
Where is that cutoff for
me,
people?
well, okay. So for a person like me, I'm gonna say the cutoff is 10, 11 weeks. And that's just for me, judge if you will.
Well,
But
no, I'm not
7
going to judge
months,
you.
I mean that's a fully basically a fully gestated child that could absolutely live. I can't relate to that.
I mean, couldn't my thing was I was just shocked because I was young and I was thinking I can never do that because she told me how it was going to be performed and I about died. You know, I really did because I couldn't believe what she was suggesting and what she was going to be going through. I couldn't even wrap my mind around that. Well, I think it was about a year and a half later and I was pregnant. And I knew I was about 6 to 8 weeks pregnant. I knew it. And I thought, okay, this is what's happening now. And I told my parents, and my mom had your view. If I was your age and, blah, 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 I would definitely have an abortion. And I'm thinking, how could you be saying that about what is your grandchild? But then this is my mom. We don't agree on a lot. And I cried my guts out because I couldn't believe she would say that to me. Because in my head, I could see him in my mind. I could see him in my mind with a little blue blanket wrapped around a little red-haired little baby boy. And guess
No,
what he turned out to be?
I can't.
I can't.
As a liberal, and you know I'm a liberal. I'm a liberal with a lot of conservative views,
Yeah.
but I just 7 months. That's a child. I don't know. Unless the mother's life is in,
It wasn't.
utmost
She was
danger or
spoiled.
something of that nature.
No.
There's just to get rid of it.
Yeah.
No, in my opinion, that's going to be murder.
See, it is
That's
to me.
murder.
But see, to me, in my mind, it doesn't matter if it's 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or 28 weeks. It's still the same being. Is a soul. It's a soul. It's alive, and it's its own little entity. I couldn't do that if I wanted to. I couldn't have done that.
See, I have, and this is where the civil discussion comes in because
Right.
I have done that. And
I'm not putting judgment on you.
no,
It doesn't
I
sound like
know.
that.
I know you're not at all.
Okay.
But it's just that for me at that time, I knew for sure that having a child was not in my best interest. It was very early on, so you want to talk about cells forming and those types of things. And so I had it removed. And to this day, I don't regret it, but I absolutely am aware that other women that have opted for that do regret it and still have um very sore feelings or very heartfelt feelings about that.
Oh yeah.
I'm just not one of them, but it's not to say that here's a woman now. Biggest regret I've ever had.
Yeah. I've never regretted having my children. I've never thought maybe I should have waited. I was glad to actually have my children when I was young. I had a lot more energy and it kept me out of trouble because I was going to be in trouble,
Yeah, you know
you
what?
know?
I'm telling you, if I didn't have my older children, I probably would have been in Vegas like being a stripper. I don't know.
Well, see,
I don't
things,
know. I'm
things
joking. I'm
happen for
joking.
a reason and all that. I understand. But and I wanted to say about my friend who got pregnant with the fourth baby and the husband made the threat. So she decided she was going to have to do that, but he wouldn't give her the money. So me, being a friend, said, I'm against all of this, and you know that, and she knew it. And she said, I need you to help me do this. And I was her friend. So I loaned her the money until he gave it back to me. And I took her there and I held her hand. And I will never get the sound and the sights out of my mind ever. It scarred me because I was crying. I didn't want her to have to do this. And she didn't want to have to do it, but she was in a position where her life was actually in danger.
Yeah, I mean,
So what kind of
there's
friend would I be if I
different
said, "Oh no"?
scenarios and different things for different people, and like I was saying, I knew at that time in my life the way my financial life was going and all of that it was absolutely not in the cards for that it would have made my life 10 times harder and the
Mhm.
child's life 10 times harder. Christ Wrath is saying, I'm judging you, Jess. It's my job as Christ's wrath to judge you for your sins. I find them lacking. You punish yourself enough. Yes,
Okay, but
but
see,
I don't really see it as a punishment.
my
Damien is
point
saying women have some issues that men don't know about. Yes, Damien, we definitely do because you know
is
if you're a woman and you get pregnant and the father starts showing a lot of signs that he's not going to be there, he's not going to help, you're automatically going to be a single parent. That is automatically going to put your child in a much lower financial demographic, not a two-parent house. There's a ton of problems there. And so as a woman, there's a choice. There really is a choice, and for me, I think that I'm a really realistic person, and I don't harbor on feelings too much. But was there some sadness? Me and Tyler definitely went through an abortion together. And I didn't feel anything. I wasn't sad. I felt like it was absolutely the right thing to do. But it was about 9 months later that one day, randomly, there was nothing wrong, nothing said about this, nothing. I was laying on my couch and I started thinking about what this child would have been.
uh-huh.
And I got very teary-eyed. I get very upset. I text him. I was at work. I was like, I don't know. I'm feeling really weird. And he was like, why? He ended up coming home and crying with me because well, ultimately, that was a child that we lost. I chose that. He didn't, but I chose it. But even so, it just, I understand that some women are more like me, where we're more realistic, where this would not be good for myself or the child. And then there's other women that, really have a lot of feelings towards it, and they mull over it for a very long time. And I don't think there's anything wrong with either or,
I would
but
never
I
have
still
forgiven
feel like
myself though,
there should be
Jess.
a choice.
I could never have forgiven myself though, Jess. That would never have gone away from me if I'd done that.
See, I never looked at it like that. I never
I
looked at it
knew.
like, can I forgive myself or can I not?
Nope.
I never looked at it like that. I looked at it as, what would my life be, and what life would I be able to provide that child? And I knew it was not anything good. So I just, not anything good, but just, it wouldn't be super productive. And so I don't know. I reconciled with that very easily. Until the day I didn't.
I had more
But the last
trouble
day
reconciling with
I got over
going
it,
with my
and I moved
friend.
on from it. Huh?
I had more trouble reconciling with being there for my friend when I didn't want to be, and what an experience that was.
Well, see, I'll talk about a friend that got pregnant with a child, later stages in life, and I literally begged her not to have this child, because the child that she was having, with the person that she was having it with, was a complete, I hate this word because I think people throw it around way too often, but he is like the epitome of a narcissist.
Yeah.
So I sort of really begged her not to do this. I knew that this was going to taint her life in a very bad way. I wasn't wrong. We're years into this at this point. And it has affected her life and the child's life in very negative ways. The father not around, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Child has abandonment issues. He's not even 10
Yeah.
years old at this point. Crazy abandonment issues. She has issues with just trying to date and move on with her life. This very young child. He's a handful. He's a beautiful child. Love him to death. But it just doesn't affect you. Absolutely. And I think that, people could say, well, you should never do this. But ultimately, it is your life. And it is that cell's life that will ultimately become a child's life. And you need to think very clearly about that. And when people say, well, you shouldn't have unprotected sex, or you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Yeah, try telling humans a bunch of shit that they shouldn't do, and they're gonna do it anyway. So we can judge all day long about what humans should and shouldn't do, but are they gonna have sex? Yes, they're gonna have sex. Are they going to have unprotected sex? Yes, they are. And things happen sometimes. I always err on the side of, in with the individual person. If you know that this is going to disrupt your life in a way that you can't come back from, and this is also going to disrupt this potential child's life, in a way that is going to be very negative, maybe you want to consider that. If not, then do what you want to do. I don't really have, I'm not staunchly like pro-choice, abort them all, and I'm not pro-life, like keep them all either. I really feel like there are people that are financially or mentally not well enough to do that, and they shouldn't. That's how I feel. But I know that there are people like you that feel very differently, and I don't hate you for that. I not at all. Grandma?
Yeah.
Iceberg is saying, Dylan's mom loves your show, Jess. Oh, are you talking about Dylan Berg? Because that's how you spell Dylan Berg's name. You would love brave topic. Yes, it is. It's a very brave topic, lead. But it is an open discussion. And there is no right or wrong answer because people feel individually. And that is your right to do so.
Well, one thing that I think is, I think a better decision than some that are out there. Some states are like completely outlawing it, and some people like Florida are saying, okay, it will be okay up to 6 or 8 weeks or something.
I will agree with that with Florida. If Florida is saying 6 to 8 weeks, I think that
like
is
that.
very fair.
And see, there's also, people have more options now. They have morning after pills if they were stupid, and that's not a pleasant experience, I am sure. I had a miscarriage in between my two sons, and that was very unpleasant. So I can't imagine one that is, chemically induced. However, women do have that option, and they should have that option. I'm not saying it's a healthy option for her even, but it is an option. And then abortion up to 8 weeks. I could live with that, consolation, but I would never utilize it regardless myself. I'm not going to say that I would like it to be abolished because there are women who would die. They would go back to archaic means, and that would be tragic.
I agree.
And that has to be avoided at all costs because there's nothing more disgusting and tragic than that. And someone who's so desperate that, they end up dying from trying to end a pregnancy. That cannot happen to women anymore.
I fully agree with that. And I think
But see how different you and I are, but then we can come up with a compromise.
Yep.
Where we can say, okay, but we have to be more responsible too and not be, running around out there,
Yeah. But not just that.
We need to take care of ourselves.
If you live in a state that doesn't allow abortion or whatever, and you get past the 6-8 week mark, which that's where it really, for me personally, should be. You get past that. If you find a state that you can do 12 13 week abortions, okay. But if you're going to go past that, then and if you don't have a choice, you just can't find a state that will do this, and you're going past that, then I would suggest, just my own suggestion, you ain't got to take my shit, but I would suggest seriously looking into adoption, open adoption.
Which I think is great.
Yeah, because you get past that. I mean, it's a child. It really is a child. They're formed at this point. I mean, 7 months. That's a formed child.
It broke my heart. You know how soft I am. That broke my heart.
Yeah, that would break my heart too. I'm not gonna lie.
It was such a sharp visual in my mind when she's describing the process.
Did you
and I
try
was
to
just
talk her
horrified.
into
I
Adoption?
tried to talk her into adoption.
Yeah.
I tried to talk her into adoption when she
Well,
was
that would
7
have been the
months
best, I mean,
because she could have induced labor at 8 months and that baby would have lived no problem, and somebody could have enjoyed this child. Somebody who's been,
yeah, that's
like I
actually
have friends that
incredibly
have
sad
been
to me.
barren, and that's just you have to use common sense here.
Right.
Sometimes you get yourself messed up, but if you mess up and you find out at 2 months that you're pregnant, you don't wait until you're 7 months along to decide you're going to go ahead with this.
Well, can we
I'm
get
sorry,
back to
you
the
have.
transgender talk? Where, again, we have these bio males that are claiming they can get pregnant, that are claiming that they have period cramps, Grandma.
I hear you, and it's hysterical to me. I think that there is no way any man would live through one really good hard
Oh,
period.
listen.
There'd be no more people ever again, if they were the ones that had to bear people and push a baby out of their vajayjay.
Well,
No,
I
we
love
would.
the argument where they say, no matter how you feel, we can dig your bones up in 100 years and tell if you're a male or a female. And that's just a
Oh yeah,
fact. And everyone hates Ben Shapiro for the,
I love
fact of
him.
her feeling. But it's just reality.
It is.
The facts do not care about your feelings. You can
No,
feel all day long that you're a dog, you're a cat, you're a
you
61-year-old black man when you're a 25-year-old white man, a woman, a male. Whatever you feel like is not reality.
well, who was that? Somebody was saying about their kid was like 5 or 6 years old, and she just knew that her child was going to be a transgender,
Yeah, how the
and
hell do you know
why?
that?
Well, because of this reason and that. But children also pretend they're cats or dogs or unicorns and shit. I mean, they're
I'm gonna
kids.
tell you, when I was probably 8 years old, me and my cousin Raymond, I just decided that we were gonna play a game. I was gonna be blind for the weekend. We had the weekend off school, and I was just gonna be blind. So I tied a
What a
sock
great
around my
fun
eyes. I
game.
tied a sock around his eyes, and we went around the whole house, just feeling the banister of the steps and feeling us. And my aunt thought we were completely insane, and we were. But we wanted to believe that we were just blind and we were going to do this, and we did. Did that make us blind? No, that made us kids.
Yeah, there you go.
So I
I'm
mean,
in
she
agreement. We need to
laughed at
protect
us, and
children.
we were like, well, we don't know what you're laughing at. We're really doing this. We're like climbing stairs while we're blind, lady. You can laugh all day long, but it was kid fantasy, and people that
Sure.
don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. So here's Damien. Most people these days are using drugs. Yesterday, I just smoked a bowl. They're so delusional. Well, if I'm delusional because I just smoked some pot, be mad at me. I just did. I just literally smoked some pot. Damien,
You
he ain't gonna
did.
yell at me for that. He ain't gonna yell at me.
You did this.
Yes,
You.
I like to smoke my pot, Grandma. If I don't smoke my
I
pot, I
am
might get a
so
little grumpy
pleased.
with people's bullshit. I'm serious.
The devil's lettuce.
Yes, the devil's lettuce. I'm satanic now. What's Damien
Yeah.
saying? He's saying, I remember my daughter being a deer and doing it in public. See? and I actually I've seen Damien's daughter, and I can picture this probably happening, and Damien just watching her like Matt Walsh with zero
My granddaughter
emotion,
was
just
a
kind of
cat in the
watching
Red
it like, yeah,
Robin.
that's great. So but in essence, I think we're gonna wrap the show up, but I think in essence that people can believe what they want to believe, but
Sure.
it is not within anything for you to tell other people what to believe or how to believe, especially when we know what you're saying is not the truth.
We don't have to buy into the delusion,
Exactly. And I don't think we should. Grandma, I'm getting
but we
all.
shouldn't be mean to people.
I love you much. D, I love ya. Christ, love you guys. And I will see you guys later. I feel like this stream is 100% gonna be demonetized because of the title. But love you all, and I will see you guys later.